Hi, everybody. Well, I'm Sam's mom, and I'm introducing Samantha Taitel, Sensei. Sam has been training in Aikido for 21 years now. She started when she was 5 years old at Aikido centers of New Jersey with Greg O'Connor. And at 17, she went over to New York Aikikai with a crazy mother to be an uchi-deshi in New York Aikikai. She stayed there, but when she went to NYU, so, living out of the dojo, but at NYU, she was there for about 8 years. After NYU, she was working at the Museum of Natural History. And then a little over a year ago, she moved out to Minneapolis with her partner. And she's now training at East Lake Aikikai with Galen David, who's a dojo-cho. And she's fighting the good fight, protesting racism, systemic racism out in Minneapolis, out there getting gas, and I'm very proud of her as her mom and as anybody would be. And here she is.
Hi everyone, I'm going to move back into my zone that I mapped out. Can everyone see me well? I hope so. I wanted to start just by warming up. So in Seiza and then coming up onto live toes, just going back and forth. Really noticing what's sore. For me, I have a recently sprained ankle, so I feel that, but I'm happy that I'm able to get in and out of Seiza. You can stretch your toes a little more, put your knees forward. Really, this class, I want to be best friends with the ground. That is my goal. So all the way up, and now step forward. I would like your foot to be fully on the ground, so rather than an itty bitty step, where you're just on your toes, but really stay fully onto the ground, back down, and up. Really find, like Wendy Sensei was talking about where your power is coming from. It should be coming from your pelvis. I can't do this if I just try to move my foot. I have to move my pelvis forward so that I can raise my leg. So just finding that rhythm. I'm also moving my back foot a little more and making that live toes too now. And I feel like this is a drill that a lot of people have done in their practice. Now I also want to go to the sides. So this opening of our hips, and experiment with that. Hopefully everyone is doing what I'm doing. I'm going to talk and give directions throughout. If you need to adjust your camera to be a little lower, that'd be great. And so back, forward, standing all the way up and down. I feel like a lot of people also in Aikido, I hear a lot about knee injury and knee pain. I think that has a ton to do with how much we slam our knees on the ground and our intentionality in getting up and down. So when I get up, I can't put all my weight on my front foot. That's really imbalanced and puts a ton of strain on me. And I also can't just rely on my back foot. I feel all that in my thigh. Rather, I want my weight centered and balanced to stand up together. And so from there, I also want to be able to step down, and instead of going back, to step forward. Down and forward. And I want that to feel like you're walking. Take a few steps. Maybe it feels just as easy. Maybe it doesn't feel just as easy. But truly, go slow, with intention. Find where your weight is on your feet. Is it the balls of your foot? Or maybe the heel or the side? Move it around. For me, it does not feel good when I'm on the balls of my feet. It looks wonky, feels wonky. My heels also, I feel like I can't go down unless all my heels are up. I definitely, just like when I pin with the edges of my hands pressing out into the ground, I do that with my feet too. I'm constantly expanding. I love what Wendy said about where we draw our power from. That's what I'm centering on right now also. And we can only get so much power going forwards or going backwards. So now I want to draw power from the opening and closing of my hips. You can see this in Irimi nage, but both as uke and nage. So today what I want to focus on is almost the ukemi side of it, and hopefully you can apply that in the future to the nage side. But starting kneeling, so my body is facing you, but my leg is off on the 90. And really, I'm turning my hips so that all my power is drawn through. From here, I'm going to start this way, but I turn my body first, and the power, I'm making potential. Rather than facing all one direction, I'm drawing my hip back so that I can snap forward. My hip closes to generate that power. On one knee, you can try the other side. So from here, remember, I'm drawing my back hip away. Because when I'm closed, I'm really strong, but it's harder to move because there's nowhere I can pull to. So rather, I'm opening that back hip so that I can draw my other hip through with power, turning. And closing to draw that power. We do this. I'm just a little more difficult, so on your knees. How this translates for me to Irimi nage is it's one Swariwaza step. I learned Irimi nage, kind of the cartwheel for me. One foot goes, one hand goes down, foot goes down, so I can come straight back up. That's not good for everyone, or maybe the technique is a little different. So rather, I want to be able to sweep my leg. We're going to start a little slower. So from here, my ukemi safe place is this hunker block. This is where I can protect myself, my back is expanded. So rather than being super straight up, maybe like in weapons, for ukemi, I'm pressing my back out so that I have as much surface areas as possible. If I'm really small, and do a high ball, it doesn't feel as good for me. Rather, I want to be really big. So I'm expanding, my hands are pressing out, everything is bigger. So rather than this, I have all the surface area of my back, my outer arms, my knees are also pressing out. I'm creating this bubble that I'm sustaining. So from here, when I do a high ball, it feels way better because I have more to take in that impact. So, in this safe place, this bubble, what I want you to do is softly touch your knee and come back. Softly touch a knee and come back. Importantly, my feet cannot face forward for this. My knee does not go sideways while my foot is facing forward. I need to turn my foot so that when I touch, my knee and my toes agree on the direction I'm going. This is how you prevent ACL and other knee tears. Let's practice that for really letting your knee down softly to kiss the ground and then put your weight on it. Is that even though I'm expanded, my back is not collapsed. That's really dangerous, because when I collapse, I'm actually over my toe, and I have no control over this weight distribution. So even when I go down, in my big and moving position, I'm still really controlled and I'm not going past my knee. We'll explore that. If I do go past my knee, I still have another point that's available. But for right now, I don't want you to fall past your knee. I want you to sit and lean with that control. Sit and lean. So the easier way is if you go straight down as low as you can in a squat, maybe even deeper. That support should come from your structure, should come from your bones. So I can lean over and sit on one of my feet. I'm not trying to just support myself with all my muscles. I'm sitting on my foot. And then I can kiss my knee. And I swear, this gets easier when we use that potential and then carry that momentum through the technique rather than being really static. It's a practice tool. So from here, I go down, I kiss the knee, and my hips are open. This leg is still facing the other way, which means all this side is potential for me to move and come up quickly. So after I go down and kiss that knee from here, I can turn and stand up. That turn is executed because I'm driving my hip through, just like we practice. Just put those two things together. So down, kiss the knee, turn, and stand up. You can practice it really slowly, broken down, or you can experiment with more Swaragato step and sliding a little more. The key here is that we want to get up fast and get up safely. My other leg goes straight when I do that because I'm trying to go really slowly. When, I'm not moving my other foot for right now, which means it's getting straighter as I move away. It's not completely straight. But since my foot isn't moving, all my weight's on this side, I'm letting that happen, and then turning. So it's just a drill. It can get wider, it gets more difficult, because you have more ground to cover in the middle. Or it can be really small. The closer your feet are, the easier this drill becomes, because you can center your weight more over your feet rather than wider. You're relying on that ankle support, that foot support, and stability. So if you need a scaled version of this, you can move your feet closer. And this is the same as just going down into seiza, but only going to one side at a time. And as you get wider, you can get those angles more explicitly. So right now we're focusing on down and stepping through. Down and stepping through. And also keeping, I'm not leaning down, that broken back I was talking about. I'm not coming down here, because then my knee is in the way of myself. And I have to stand up again. This is quite straight backed in that as I go down, the person throwing me, my neck may be here, and that's fine for a Irimi nage. So I attack, they come down, it's still fairly straight, and then I can stand up again. So you can experiment more and more with the angle at which you're taking down. Basic is I'm totally straight, from here, turn, and stand up. And then most advanced, right, is I'm leaning back because someone is pulling me into a place where I have no balance. Back, and standing up. You can let yourself fall. So this was really focused in Irimi nage, where the person throws you and lets you come back up because they want to throw you again. They draw up to finish. But what happens if you're just put straight down to the ground? So that's the other point I was talking about. From here, this hand is available. So I can, in fact, support myself on that. The same way that I want to be really kind to my knees, I want to be super kind to my elbows. So I can't fall directly on the point of my elbow. That hurts a lot. Instead, I'm going to use the entire blade edge of my forearm. From here, really meeting the ground and supporting myself on my knee, on my arm, but I'm still keeping that potential because my hip is up, rather than being dead on the ground, my arm is trapped, and I can't really move. So for a moment, everyone to calm down, support yourself on your knee, and as slowly as you need to, you can walk your hand out until you have 2 points of contact, your forearm and your knee. I hope you see that this makes a triangle. Just like when I'm in Hummy, there's one foot in the front and a line in the back. That triangle is supporting me. Same here, just reversed. My knee is the 1 point in the back, and my forearm is that line in the front. So it's still a really supportive triangle. And this takes, right, different muscles that we may need to build up. So from here, if you can't do that yet, you can support it on your hip. What's important is I want your shoulder really extended rather than smushing down and collapsing. I want your shoulder extended out and strong, and you can pull your elbow towards your hip. And even just doing this, I feel that in my abductors. So no collapse shoulders, shoulders really extended and out. You want to keep that extension. And to practice and get stronger, you can pull your elbow towards your hip, and you should feel that connection. If you can support yourself from here, right, I'm on my knee and it's the same motion. So we should put that all together. So from here, down to the knee, reaching out. And as you can see, I'm looking at myself too. I make that even softer by kneading it with my pinky and then resting on my forearm. So I'm not just going straight down, although that's very applicable in some kemi. For this, just in practice, I'm meeting with my hand, my blade edge, and sinking onto my whole forearm. So both directions from here, and all the way down. Keeping that potential in your hips, keeping active. So my hips are still open, they're not closed. Rather than closed being here, where I may just fall on my face. Keeping my hips active and open. There are a ton of different ways to take ukemi. There are a ton of different ways to do Aikido. So your ukemi has to reflect the technique that's being applied to you. But I think this is really good practice in strengthening yourself and making that connection a little more authentic and hopefully you stronger so that you're less afraid of that connection and you can stay with your partner longer. Okay, another piece in that protection of yourself, I find that a lot of beginners especially have their arms stuck under them. So when they're pinned for Ikkyo, they can't tap because this arm is stuck under their bodies. They get really stuck. This drill, I hope, makes it easier to tap, makes it easier for your teaching in kind of how to teach people to get that arm out. Fully, we can go all the way down to our forearm, and then from here, I'm keeping my shoulder active and rolling past so that I'm on my shoulder now. So I slowly let myself down with a ton of points. It went toes, ankle, knee, forearm, and now all the way past the shoulder. And still my hips are open and connected because that means I can put my arm under me because there's space. If there's no space, if I'm on the ground, I just end up elbowing myself and I can't get it out. There's still a trick for that. So if you can keep yourself up on your shoulder, practice from here, just walking your hand out from under you. If that arch isn't happening, that's perfectly okay. From here, since your hips are still open, I want your arm to be straight down your body. Not out here where it can still get stuck. I roll over and it's stuck. I want your arm straight down your body, and that still takes my shoulder. I have to be extended. Even though it looks smushed, I'm laying on it. It's very different here versus here, where I'm pressing away from that shoulder. And then all you need to do is lay over yourself, and your arm should be free. So from the other side, if you just lay on your side, your arm should be down, straight next to you, so that when you do fold your hips over, and there doesn't have to be any space, I can just lay on my own arm, and it's free on the other side. But this still, as you see, takes open hips to closed hips. If I'm on my shoulder, I have that flexibility to move my arm a little faster. And so folks that are comfortable, they want to go all the way down, all the way through, and see where that connection is. It's okay if you want to focus on one part too. From here, maybe just feeling that arm escape, or laying down and just feeling where your arm needs to be in order for you to safely roll over and not have your hand, your tapping hand, stuck under you. And a little more advanced tidbit is, in order to follow my partner, Ikkyo, a lot of times people move a lot during it. Sometimes I see people go straight down. And that's a different kemi. I call that the fishtail. It's really hard. But from here, when people are moving, I want people to move with them. So rather than going straight down, they're already pressing my elbow. My point of balance has to be. So from here, just like the exercise at the beginning, I want to be able to move with them. So I'm constantly going further in space. So I want to be able to cover distance. Hence from here, I may even slide this foot out first. Cover distance. And the more you practice this, hopefully the bigger it can get, the more distance you can cover in one go. So from here, slide, roll. I made it almost a string, but you can start really small, down. I'm putting my forearm down right in front of me, right in front of me. A little bigger from here. Maybe I am laying down, but I'm still pressing, making sure my hand can escape. And the key to this, right, you have your partner, which you're in a relationship with, but also the ground. I see a lot of ukemi that feels like it's beating you up, and your knees and your elbows are points that you can not jamming shoulder, are points that you can connect with on the ground. I feel like when you're working with two partners, two humans, there's always a third, right, the ground. And you should keep that in mind. For shoulders, specifically, I've been trying to do more planks. They're really good for supporting your shoulders. So planks up on your arms, or just on your shoulders. And just like with that exercise I was talking about, I mean, actually it's a converted plank, right? So side plank, or you can just do it from your hip, but you're always pulling, that abductor pulling. So this is really tight and high, pulling, and that'll strengthen your shoulder. Because as I said, it may be something that we don't work on a lot. And so from here, being really ginger and just rolling back and forth, my hand is turning, so I'm rolling myself into my shoulder really gently. And not just my shoulder, there's a ton of arm to cover before my shoulder. So making sure that everything is touching, going back and forth, so that you can build those muscles and connections. For me, I teach it in class. Sometimes I like having this focus. I personally learn a lot through ukemi, and understanding how I move through ukemi has been really important to me. So breaking that down as part of my own training, but also in the interest of keeping my partner safe. So I personally bring it into class a lot and focus on ukemi a lot, but I don't know how much I see it in other classes, maybe for beginners in how they roll, but I think it's more even, you could do it at home. It's after class when you ask senpai kind of, how do you do that without hurting yourself? And then building up to those other interactions where I try to avoid, but it still happens. Like, as I said, I really prefer rolling and using that roll, but sometimes you really do need to just from here and go down. But even in that moment, I'm still turning and reacting, just like as you receive a yoku minuchi, that turn, you should treat the ground the same way. You're still receiving the ground just as you're receiving your partner. I think there are questions, and then I have a little spiel.
Hey, Sam, that was a beautiful class. I think you've been answering the questions as we go. Just a couple things. I mean, you are so incredibly strong, and I like how you pointed out that you kind of need the strength to not use the strength. Aikido is all about not using the strength, but you have to be strong. You got to train for that, which you obviously have.
I'm sweating too. If you're not sweating.
You're sweating. I know you're working. It's you make it look so easy. Listen, way back when, I still feel bad about this, but on a crosshand ikkyo, I face planted you.
You didn't just face plant me. She made my feet hit my head.
Yeah.
I heard
so what's ukemi?
As a young.
What's the mom and Kemi? I still feel bad.
That was a memorable experience. Maybe
so
this is.
How would you handle it now when you were 10 years old?
So I mentioned the fish ukemi. So it still needs that connection to the ground. So I'm reaching with my pinky and everything. And then from here, your feet go out, but you have to get that shoulder to the ground. That's the most important thing, right? Because that's what they're putting into the ground. So your shoulder needs to go into the ground, as I have learned over the years, evidently. I mean, I was really proud of myself in elementary school, being able to do the worm. I think that's a great drill. So from here, that ukemi is basically one iteration of the worm. So you're on the ground. From here, I'm going up, but then my biggest priority is getting my shoulder back on the ground. So how do I do that? Shoulder back on the ground. Little hops, but putting your shoulder on the ground. And I'm not landing directly on my chest. There's definitely like my upper like pec area. That's kind of what I'm focusing on, because it's going side to side. You can draw it out more. So if you're trying to make it pretty right from here, you go down, but for ikkyo, that may be good when it's really big. But if you let your feet go too far and just get artistic with it, they may hit your head. And I can tell you that will hurt. So rather than your feet coming up super high, your focus should be your shoulder going to the ground. And how to make that smooth with the rest of your body is what we train for, what we work on.
Hey, Sam, so earlier on, someone asked if you had a variation for someone who can't put their knees on the ground, or imagine if you're training someplace where you don't want to put your knee on the ground.
Yeah.
Do you have any work on that?
For ikkyo, I mean, I think this just wouldn't be the exercise for that, because this is going down to the ground smoothly. So if you're not going down to the ground, I don't know how much that applies. Definitely being able to bend your knees and facilitating that. So rather than standing super straight, even practicing just going down, moving, it'll be the same from here. If I'm moving from side to side, this gets more difficult, right? The wider my feet go. And so that's a really good training element to build up that strength. But I can start here. I'm moving my knees, my hips, and then, as I said, to cover more distance, I lied. I guess I can't make something for this, but really practicing that moving back and forth will really work on stretching your hips and that openness.
So another question here is, what do you find the most efficient and safe way to rise up from the Ikkyo pin? And how do you instruct this?
That's just the reverse of what we were doing before. So for Ikkyo, I also really try to alternate the feet I get up on. There's left and right and different attacks, but when I'm being pinned, I try to really use my other arm, because someone is still pinning my left arm per se. Rather from here, I take my arm back, so I'm supporting myself with 2 hands up, and then I shoot my bent leg through. And then from there, it's the same stand up. And so really intentionally shooting that leg through, because that's why it's bent for me. It's keeping my shoulder safe and it's making that potential still be there. And it alternates feet rather than one knee is bad because I always get up on that knee. So not just when you're attacking, for Yurukemi, trying to make that as balanced as possible, which I think about all the time and have a lot of trouble with. I notice, oh, for those 4, I always stood up on my right. Wow, my right thigh is tired. I can divide that work. So trying to be as balanced as possible. Is it time for my spiel, my little spiel?
Spiel away.
My little spiel is, I've been thinking about the concept of Irimi a lot, and in the class title, it's Irimi in daily life. And what I've been thinking about is why I feel the desire and need to do that now. Because in Aikido, I feel like as a community, a lot of people focus on letting things go past, and that's really valuable, and that's protecting yourself. But that bad thing, once it goes past, what happens? Is it someone who's in a bad place at that moment, or is it someone that may like prey on someone else? And if I do all this training, all this work to make myself strong and powerful, if I meet something or someone, it's my job also to take that on, because that's why I'm training. And obviously knowing I still have a long way to train and to go. So if I'm not in a place to do that, a lot of people say you can't use muscles, right? Because there's always someone bigger and badder on the mat. I think that applies to off the mat too, in that, but more in a trust in your community. If I meet something where I'm like, wow, that's a lot, I need to let that go past for my own safety. I need to trust that someone is training to be strong and powerful to meet that. I'm training to be the person that meets whatever's happening so that others don't have to, so that they can have the space and time in their training to get powerful enough to rise to that occasion and meet that person, that human. But if you just train and find your power in yourself and exist within this bubble, that's not serving our global community or what we really want to focus on, hopefully to rise together and be a collective and inclusive society. So I'm asking people to Irimi more and take that into their lives, meaning meet something, really embrace that conflict, because that's what our training is for. To embrace the conflict and make it so it just puffs out. It's really cool. You can do it super small. That may be smiling at someone that's yelling, like in a rage in a car, just smiling. That's entering, that's doing something. And it can get bigger and bigger. And you may be at a place where you just need to smile from someone across the street that looks kind of grumpy. That's okay. That's making the entire space that you and they inhabit a better place. That may be bigger. That may be defending someone that you see on the subway. If someone is being targeted for wearing a hijab or anything, that may be stepping into that situation. And coming to a place where your training makes you powerful enough to embrace that conflict is what I train to do for our entire community. So I think that it's not the time to let it go past. If you do, I think you really need to focus on your training more in order to bring everyone up, because we all should be able to Irimi, because some of those people and some of those interactions need to be laid on their back. Ski Irimi Nage, I love. I've definitely taken some hard hits during it, but I'm still here. I'm in this seminar and I got up again. And so when you Irimi, make sure that you also provide that hand to help your partner up, because they also were just put on their back. So have that power to do both. That's my spiel.
That's beautiful, Sam. Any last questions?
Yeah, there's 3 minutes left.
Yeah, 3 minutes left. Not to come down from this off mat, but someone asked how you developed your trunk flexibility.
I mean, be born to a mother that was a gymnast that passed that on genetically. I've been really lucky. I started training from a really young age, so that never went away. One of the exercises I really like is just from here, walking down and really pulling on something so that I can feel that stretch all through my side, my core, and the weight on my back foot is really light, so I can extend into that and stretch more. Doing that helps a lot. I need to do the other side to sort of balance. But so starting, and you move your inner foot out more. So closer you get less of a stretch, farther you get more of a stretch, because just my hips are open and I'm working on getting that stretch and extension.
I see Mallory's face looking like, that looks like doing yoga.
Yeah, I mean, intersectionality, it's all connected. And
right.
also,
a few more seconds, Sam.
My shoulders, but we going, and not just resting my head and hand down, really drawing my shoulders. This is what I do doing all around, but drawing my shoulders in and back, stretching down and moving my pelvis and my hips. So I really like to explore where my flexibility is each day.
Thank you so much, Sam. That was wonderful.